Finance Secretary explains government system failures in court. 2 dead following independence celebrations. Countdown begins to the FIBA Melanesian Cup.
This is National EMTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Monday's news. Finance Secretary Ken Nangan appeared before Deputy Chief Justice Gibb Salika at the National Court today to explain why the Public Solicitor's office was locked for 4 days last week. The judge explained to him that he was summoned under Section 225 of the Constitution that holds the government accountable in ensuring that constitutional officers are resourced and functioning. He said the public solicitor provides vital services to the public who need legal assistance and cannot afford private law firms. Adelaide Siroxkari reports.
This week, the public solicitor's office was locked by landlords due to non-payment of rentals. Today, Deputy Chief Justice Sir Gibb Salika heard from the Finance Secretary Dr. Ken Nangan on why the constitutional office was locked. The Finance Secretary had to explain in court the irregularities that led to the closure of the Public Solicitor's office. He said the office had been opened on Thursday last week and part payments on the outstanding rentals had been paid.
We appeared this morning with the Public Solicitor, Mr. Tamate, and myself. We were summoned by the Deputy Chief Justice regarding the lockout of the Public Solicitor's office. We've been coming in the media, both in the print media and the TVs, explaining why the landlords have decided to lock out, which is not a cash flow issue, but it is to do with the budgeting issue.
The Deputy Chief Justice reminded the Finance Secretary of the important service the Public Solicitor provides. He said the Public Solicitor's office is a constitutional office set up by the government so that citizens that can't afford private legal assistance can get free legal assistance from the Public Solicitor. Sir Gibbs asked the Finance Secretary and his office to be in constant contact with landlords to ensure there is a mutual understanding.
We communicate with them. We've been on the newspapers, I think both newspapers. We've been on the TV stations. Well, we've been communicating with them, but landlords, being landlords, they sometimes take action. But all we can assure them that they're dealing with the systems of government and representing the systems of government. We can give the assurance that outstanding rentals, including current rentals, will be settled.
Public Solicitor Jim Tamate was also present at the hearing and spoke along with the Finance Secretary, Dr. Ken Nangan.
When we were advised of the closure, I told my lawyers to take out their court files with them so they could continue attending their cases this last week because of the closure. So I think the courts have run smoothly, and I just want to thank the Secretary for making some payment available to have the office reopened.
This is the first time the Finance Secretary has been summoned to court. He has told the court that part payments have been made. Adelaide Siroxkari, National EMTV News.
Confusion in the courtrooms this morning forced the adjournment of at least 6 cases in the Court of Disputed Returns. There were 2 lawyers who both appeared before Justice Colin McKyle, announcing that they represented the Electoral Commission. One was with the State Solicitor's Office, while the other, a private law firm, Kibum and Associates.
The election petitions listed before the disputed Court of Returns today included cases against Manu's governor, Charlie Benjamin, former Goroka MP, Bira Kimisopa, and Manu's MP, Job Pomat. All 8 cases were listed for directions hearing. However, because of double legal representations, all matters could not proceed. The Electoral Commission is the second respondent in all these election petitions. Thus, when the matters were read out for the election petitions to begin, there were 2 lawyers who both stood up and said they represented the Electoral Commission. This then affected the hearing because lawyers of the appellants told the court they were not aware of the double legal representations. Both the State Solicitor and Kibum lawyers were asked by the National Court to consult the Electoral Commission and find out who will be representing EC in these matters. Most of these election petitions have been adjourned to Wednesday this week. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The trial date for police officers charged with the murder of a man from Tatana in 2015 is set for the 20th of November. This morning, the lawyers present informed the court that another co-accused in this case still had his case before the committal courts. Though the court has the powers to proceed with the trial hearing, Deputy Chief Justice Sir Gibbs Salika adjourned the matter to give time for his case at the committal court.
Parties involved in this matter include Lawrence Sausau, Ian Gunawi, Philip Hokop, Maria Jones, and Jeffrey Sikiot. All defendants are police officers accused of being on duty when a Tatana man, allegedly a suspect in another murder case, was murdered. They are all facing murder charges and are all out on extended bails. The defendants told the court this morning that they have been served copies of their court files. Thus, the matter can proceed to a trial hearing. However, when the court was informed that the last co-accused is yet to be committed to stand trial at the National Court, Deputy Chief Justice Sir Gibbs Salika then moved the trial date to November in the hope that all defendants stand trial together. This is one of the two controversial killings that allegedly involved police officers and the unlawful use of firearms. The other case is where police officers were also accused of killing two men from Anwabada in 2014. This case has been before the Waigani National Court for almost 18 months now. It allegedly occurred in 2015, weeks after the Anwabada incident. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Independence celebrations over the weekend in Leh were generally peaceful. However, there have been two confirmed deaths at the weekend. Leh Metropolitan Commander Anthony Wagambi said both cases were alcohol-related and police are investigating these incidents.
In the early hours of Sunday morning, a young man from East Sepik was murdered at the Leh Bowling Club. Reports say he was chased by a group of men. His body was later found in a nearby drain. The Leh Metropolitan Commander, Chief Superintendent Anthony Wagambi said witnesses have been identified and police are now investigating the incident. A similar incident also happened at the same time in the back road area. Police say one person was killed after an argument escalated into violence. Mr. Wagambi is calling on all those who may have information to assist with investigations. Although a large number of people were detained over the weekend for drunken and disorderly behavior, celebrations in Leh were mostly quiet. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Leh.
Tari Airport in Hela Province will be upgraded following an MOU signing between National Airports Corporation and the Hela Provincial Government. Hela Governor Philip Undialu said the upgrade includes ceiling for the runway and fencing. 55 million kina has been earmarked for the airport facelift.
The signing paves way for upgrading fencing, terminal building and runway construction. NAC Managing Director Richard Yopo, Hela Governor Philip Undialu and Hela Provincial Administrator William Bando inked the deal in front of stakeholders in Port Moresby. The upgrade will cost 55 million kina under the government's plans to improve airports around the country. Work is expected to begin in March 2018 with tendering process expected to be out next week under the standards of the Asian Development Bank bidding criteria.
Anything that the Hela Provincial Government needs to do through this MOU, I think we are committing ourselves to get this off the ground. We got another big airport right at the back of us, which is Common International Airport. Something that we can work on in the near future. But Tari is the hub of Hela Province.
Currently, two construction companies occupy certain areas at the edge of the airport. NAC has spoken to the companies to vacate the area before construction work begins.
We do understand that there's Taripuri district office, which we can get into a commercial arrangement with them. We've got PNG Power, we've already spoken with them, so there's a commercial arrangement. I think the only other one that's directly where we'll be developing the terminal is Curtin Brothers. So we've also given them notice, so we'll send you a copy. Pierre, you can help us from there as well. So.
The Hela provincial administrator believes Tari Airport has been neglected for too long and the upgrade will have an impact on the economy of the province.
So our first and immediate priority is to do the fencing, and then the terminal and the runway ceiling.
Jack Lopave, Junior National MTV News.
Here with National MTV News, we'll have more stories after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National MTV News. The Education Department is urging schools to follow the SLIP framework when using TFF funds. Acting Deputy Secretary for the Education Department, Titus Hartigan, says this will help schools have proper plans and also be accountable. Mr. Hartigan says many schools do not follow the SLIP framework, resulting in most schools having incomplete projects.
The acting Deputy Secretary led a delegation from the Education Department to West New Britain recently for a visit to schools which have been receiving TFF funds in 2015 and 2016. Hoskins Secondary, one of the pioneer secondary schools, is visible with TFF funding making tangible changes. Principal James Ravakai says funds have seen L40 staff accommodations being built.
TFF to change this staff house to as it is now.
That's L40 modified.
Modified L40.
The head of the institution says nearly 135,000 has been used, with some diverted to fuel expenses and labor. However, the Education Department is urging school administrations and boards to follow TFF guidelines.
It's up to us now, the principals, the school boards. There is a circular instruction coming that we must have school learning improvement plan, so that we need to capture where the money is going to be used and how much is going to be used.
According to Mr. Ravakai, there have been significant developments in building additional classroom and staff houses. Currently, a 10-bedroom unit for single teachers is under construction.
This U-shaped house, staff house, can accommodate 10 teachers, 10 teachers. 5 rooms, they have a common room, shower, toilets.
But according to the Education Department delegation, many schools in West New Britain are on track in receiving TFF funding. However, there is an urgent need for proper planning. Jack Lopave, Junior National MTV News.
An MTV crew member has just returned from the Deamos Local Level Government Council area of Kaboom, where a new road is being promised by the new MP. Kaboom MP Patrick Bassa said during the independence celebration, funding has been allocated for a road into the area. It is a region that depends on air transport to move coffee and those in need of medical help.
On days when the weather is bad, the coffee doesn't get out of Yalumet, the headquarters of the Deamos Local Level Government area. Today, several kilos are being packed into a plane from North Coast Aviation. It's the only airline that flies to these parts. The chief pilot is from the Kaboom district. 2 days ago, when the people celebrated independence, it felt like some hope had returned. A new road is being promised, a new high school, and funding allocation was made just recently. The Kaboom MP Patrick Bassa was the local level government president at Deamos before running for the Kaboom seat. He believes a road will be built while he is still in office. It's a mammoth task that will need government commitment, something he is confident of.
We don't have a secondary school. We don't have a district hospital.
Every year on the 16th of September, people gather for independence celebrations. It is usually a dismal event they're made to commemorate. 40 years without a road and no government will to make it happen has dampened their spirits. Many hope things will change this term. Scott Whitey, National MTV News, Leh.
And now a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3125 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, a kina was buying $0.305, $0.3772 Australian dollars, $0.2517 euro, and 33.5 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, coffee and cocoa closed higher, gold is trading lower, and copper closed the day lower. Crude oil is trading higher, copper closed higher, while palm oil closed the day lower. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed 64 points higher, the ASX closed 25 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed 23 points higher. Tropical storm Maria taking over from Hurricane Irma, and the US President Donald Trump to speak at the United Nations General Assembly. Those stories making headlines overseas when we return. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Turning overseas now, Caribbean islands left ravished by Hurricane Irma are now bracing for the arrival of a new storm. Tropical storm Maria is blowing in the Atlantic and is said to be upgraded later today before it hits the islands later this week.
A landscape utterly changed by the fury of nature. 2 weeks ago, this was a lush green island, now stripped back to brown, hardly a leaf on a tree for miles. And now misery on misery, tropical rain. If this is the island of the super rich, there's poverty too. Kishmet and her 9 kids lived through Irma. Their home survived. Now it's underwater.
I've lost everything. Everything except the lives of my children, but I lost everything we had.
Desperate, frustrating times. Families, British citizens needing help. But international rules say that overall, these islands are too wealthy to qualify for the UK aid budget.
And if this is a rich country, I don't understand how me and others who have lost roof and everything still living in a poor situation. Hi.
After the looting of the early days, it feels safer here now. British cops here to help the hard-pressed locals.
Guys, you just need to join the queue on that side for me. Thank you.
And more than 200 British military now on the ground. The Royal Marines helping locals deliver whatever aid they can find, making a difference.
What struck you the most about being here? Just the sheer devastation of it all. Absolutely, yeah. I've never seen anything like it before.
The loss of income will cost the economy millions, but there's a determination to rebuild.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has given the leader of Myanmar, Aung San Suu Kyi, one last chance to end the military offense in the Rakhine state. The violence has forced around 400,000 Rohingya Muslims to flee into neighboring Bangladesh.
On the muddy shore of Bangladesh's southernmost point, the stream of Muslims seeking safety never stops. This is one of the places where the boats bring them in. And on the other side of the Naf River, still the fires burn.
It is astonishing that more than 3 weeks after the violence broke out in Rakhine State, we're still seeing these incredible numbers of people coming across the Naf River looking for shelter here in Bangladesh. But with so much of the Rohingya population already in this country, the chances of another military operation inside Myanmar is reaching its natural end. As far as the Burmese military is concerned, these people are a historical problem that's now been fixed.
Mushtaq and his family have just arrived. His home was burnt down 3 weeks ago, he said. He'd sought shelter in 4 other villages inside Myanmar before being forced to flee to Bangladesh. But he has no idea where they will live. The camps that have sprung up to house previous waves of Rohingyas are already horribly overcrowded. Hafiz Manjur has come here to try to find a home for himself and his pregnant wife. He arrived from Myanmar a week ago after a harrowing journey. He filmed parts of it. He's tried 3 other camps, but is having no luck.
Gosh, there's a lot of people there, all on the move.
We've been living in other people's houses, he told me. We had to leave my mother in Myanmar. We need to find somewhere we can house her as well, but we don't have much money. Bangladesh doesn't want these people settling here. Instead, it's planning to build a huge camp for all 400,000 new arrivals and to confine them there. It's a drastic step for a country that feels its hospitality has already been stretched too far.
To Britain, and the arrest of a second man in relation to the London tube bombing has seen the terror threat level lowered to highly likely.
Rapid progress and greater clarity. That's how the police describe this unfolding investigation. They raided this second house in West London, close to Heathrow Airport, early this morning, arresting a 21-year-old man. Neighbours described him as friendly.
He had family that came down from Scotland with the young children and so forth. We used to give them lollies and everything, and that all chatted, everything out there. He used to have his friends out there with his prayer mats and so forth, and that, but we didn't think nothing of it. We just thought he was a nice neighbour.
3 miles away in Sunbury, this was the first police raid yesterday on the home of elderly foster parents Penny and Ron Jones. They were led away by heavily armed police who sealed off the road with large barriers. Dave Solway saw what happened and knows the couple well. He said they'd been looking after a young refugee who'd been troubled and wanted to run away. But he said another young man, originally from Iraq, had been living here for several years. The police has been told that the suspect arrested in Dover yesterday is Iraqi. Police say this house is directly linked to that arrest. Following Friday's explosion, the government raised the official threat level to critical, suggesting another attack could be imminent. Now it's been reduced again, a signal that police have a better understanding of the plot and the way in which this makeshift bomb was prepared.
To the United States, Donald Trump will perhaps make the most important speech of his presidency so far. He is addressing the United Nations tomorrow. He will be urging the world to act on North Korea, just like a long list of US presidents before him.
All Americans should know that as a result of this achievement on Korea, our nation will be safer and the future of our people more secure.
We look forward to the day when we can end the Korean War, but that will end. That will happen when Kim Jong-il verifiably gets rid of his weapons programs and his weapons.
North Korea's nuclear and ballistic missile programs pose a grave threat to the peace and security of the world, and I strongly condemn their reckless action.
World leaders have begun arriving here in New York for the UN General Assembly, and there's no doubt what this round of meetings will be focusing on. Donald Trump will address the international body for the first time, and overnight he was setting the scene, tweeting, "I spoke with President Moon and asked him how Rocket Man was doing. Long gas lines forming in North Korea. Too bad," referring to new, stricter sanctions. The tweet came after a half-hour phone call between Donald Trump and President Moon, in which both the US and South Korea condemned Friday's ballistic missile test and vowed to, quote, strengthen their joint defences and ratchet up economic pressure on the rogue regime. Today, the US ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, sent a blunt message to Pyongyang saying America has a whole lot of military options still on the table.
I think we all know that basically if North Korea keeps on with this reckless behavior, if the United States has to defend itself or defend its allies in any way, North Korea will be destroyed. And we all know that. And none of us want that. None of us want war.
And it wasn't just Kim Jong-un the president was targeting on Twitter today. He retweeted a supporter who took a swing at former presidential rival Hillary Clinton. Literally, it shows Donald Trump swinging his golf club and that golf ball hitting Hillary Clinton as she boarded a plane. Some are calling it hypocrisy from a leader who condemned comedic sketches that targeted him.
Here with National EMTV News, Trukai Sports is next. We'll have the details after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Rugby League World Cup is now in Kutubu in the Southern Highlands province tonight. While passing through some of PNG's breathtaking scenery, the Paul Barry Trophy made a brief appearance at Hanganofi in Eastern Highlands province. As always, the trophy was received well by enthusiastic locals.
The trophy arrived in Hanganofi Rugby Oval to an awaiting crowd of more than 200 people. At the site, the Oil Search Managing Director Peter Botten wasted no time to brief the crowd.
Papua New Guinea is going to have 3 World Cup games in Port Moresby in October. 3 World Cup games that the Kumals are going to win.
CEO of the Rugby League World Cup, Andrew Hill, told the crowd that Rugby League is all about community and unity of the people from all walks of life.
Rugby League is all about community. And so it's so good here today to see the little boys and girls, mums and dads and grandparents all coming together just because our game. Our slogan is Rugby League is the greatest game of all, and I'm sure you all agree that Rugby League is the greatest game of all.
Rugby League legend Lottie Takiri also shared his experience.
Not in my wildest dreams did I think I'd be in Haganofi when I first started playing for the Brisbane Broncos, then the West Tigers and then the South Sydney Rabbitohs. I never would have thought I'd be on a field here, you know, with your bamboo posts. It's unbelievable the love and passion that you guys have for Rugby League.
Then the trophy was airlifted again to Sir Danny Lay Oval, the home ground of Goroka Lahanis, where a rugby league match was about to kick off. Takiri was welcomed to play for one of the teams, while Peter Botten, the referee.
Next year also we have a friend now in the NRL. Andrew's going to be the CEO of the Canterbury Bulldogs next year. So I'm sure that we can, we've been telling Andrew he should bring the Bulldog team up here to play in Eastern Highlands.
Yes. So thank Peter and all the Oil Search team, thank you very much because you give the responsibility to us. We've lived up to it. We hope you showed you the passion, the passion that these people have for rugby.
The Rugby League World Cup visited the oil-rich Hala province and is now heading to Kutubu in Southern Highlands. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
And from the Rugby League World Cup to the FIBA Melanesian Cup, that is in basketball, we'll have the details for that story after these messages. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To basketball, the countdown is on for the FIBA Melanesian Cup, which starts next Wednesday, the 27th of September. Papua New Guinea will be up against New Caledonia, Fiji, Vanuatu and Solomon Islands for the title of Melanesian champions. The Melanesian Cup will be showcased in the country before the actual matches get underway.
We took our 2 trophies around and did a bit of a tour around Port Moresby. It was fantastic, the reception that, you know, not only the players got, but especially young kids having the opportunity to get the trophies in hand and take photos and selfies and all that. It's a great part of our, I guess, our marketing and promotion for the event. As I said, 10 days out, we want to try and really ramp up, you know, promotions for it and make sure that we're getting a full house when it comes to you know, the tournament. We want to try and generate that same atmosphere that was there in 2015 for the Pacific Games, and I think you know, I think hopefully we'll be able to do that same thing you know, with this event as well.
And the FIBA Melanesian Cup will be televised live on EMTV, and tickets to the games can be purchased at the Tarama Aquatic Centre. Moving on to hockey, Port Moresby Hockey Grand Final saw a stiff competition in the men's division between all-time front-runners Sunam up against the Blades. The Sunam came out on top and defeated the Blades 1-0 in the second half of the match. The Sunam women counterparts did not do as well in the women's division, losing to the Wanderers 2-1.
The Port Moresby hockey season ended on another high note for the Sunams in the men's division yesterday afternoon at the Sir John Guy Stadium. The decider match had both the Sunams and Blades fighting for the title for this year's season again. It was a tight match that led 0-0 in the first half of the game. Despite two players that got binned for dissent, Sunam's Kawatin Pokiap scored a goal that led them to victory, ending this season's title for a second time. Meanwhile, in the women's division, the Sunam women lost their title to the Wanderers. The Sunams were first to score a goal in the first minutes of the match, but Wanderers fought back, scoring 2 goals in the 30th and 36th minute that secured their win for the women's division. The 2017 season had a participation of 16 teams, 8 women's and 8 men's teams that played 14 rounds. Port Moresby Hockey Association President Peter Molian said despite a disruption of games due to the elections, it was a good season.
The quality of hockey has really picked up over the since 2016 when we started playing on synthetic turf. It's been a steep learning curve, and the quality of hockey and the skills level has just been exponential. So we've been very happy with that. Clubs' take up of training has been really good, so they're booking the venue more often and training evenings. Strategies and game plans have been improving as well, so we're seeing a lot of quality hockey. Yeah, so it's something we want to build on and continue to promote in seasons to come.
Merlin Diaukatam, National EMTV Sports.
The sport of golf is making a comeback in Jiwaka province after almost a 10-year absence. The first leg of competition started on Independence Day, which saw over 30 teams participate. Caretaker Erwin Yus appealed for more sponsors to keep the sport active in Jiwaka.
Over 500 people gathered at Wagi Valley Golf Course to witness a 2-day independence tournament sponsored by Jiwaka Governor Dr. William Tongap. The tournament saw 53 teams from Mount Hagen, Goroka and Jiwaka provinces participated and received a 10,000 kina prize money. Day 1 on Saturday, the 108 golfers sank 18 holes of golf and continued to Sunday with 9 more holes, but were disturbed with a heavy downpour. The prize money was distributed equally to the players as an independent gift.
The big tournament become especially Wagi Valley MSI staff inside the PNCGA calendar. Na mi plasa hosting na mi plasa pile.
Wagi Valley Golf Course is known for hosting big tournaments in the 80s and 90s. It was formerly managed by Western Highlands Provincial Government until 2011, when Jiwaka separated and became province of its own. Golf is not a common sport in the Highlands, but a local leader and lawyer, Robert Bradshaw, revived the course at a cost of 10 million kina. Caretaker of the golf course, Erwin Yus, is appealing to business houses to sponsor and make the sport popular in the Highlands.
Me appeal all business houses inside of Papua New Guinea, lo come back again lo Wagi Valley, na support them this la golf club, so that plenty provinces inside of Papua New Guinea don't have golf club. Only a few.
Yus also said that people in the other Highlands provinces which do not have a golf course, such as Enga, Hela, Southern Highlands and Simbu, have showed great interest in the sport. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV Sports, Mount Hagen.
And that ends Trukai Sports for tonight. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Here's a look at the weather for Tuesday. We begin in the southern region. Port Moresby, cloudy with a chance of a few showers, a top of 30, a low of 23. Daru, thundery rain and showers, clearing it into a cloudy day with a top of 31, a low of 23. Kerma, cloudy with a few light rain and some drizzles expected over the next 24 hours, a top of 31. Alotau and Popondetta, cloudy with a few light rain and showers over the next 24 hours, a top of 31. To the Momasa region, Leh, cloudy with a chance of a few showers, a top of 30. Madang, cloudy with some rain showers occurring, a top of 30 as well. a top of 31 for Madang with cloudy periods and rain, thundery showers and rain expected in Wewak and Vanimo as well, a top of 31. To the New Guinea Islands region, thundery rain expected in Loranga with a top of 31 degrees as well, and fine for Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka. To the Highlands region, cloudy with a chance of a few afternoon and evening showers expected in all the major centers, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, a top of 18 for Mendi and Wabeg, 20 for Mount Hagen, Goroka and Kundiawa. To look at the shipping forecast, but first there is a strong wind warning current for all coastal waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait to Daru Island, to Kiwai Island, to Yule Island, to Hood Point, to all Milne Bay Islands including Samarai Island, to Cape Vogel, Finchafen, through Vitias and Dampier Strait, and CSE Island to Long Island, to West New Britain, South Bougainville and Western Manus Islands. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait and Daru to Kiwai Island, to Yule Island, Hood Point, Samarai Island, and with waters of eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, and with waters of Samarai to Cape Vogel and to Finchafen, as well as the waters of Finchafen through Vitias Strait, Dampier Strait, including CSE Island to Long Island, seas 2.5 to 3 meters. Waters of Kerma and with the waters of Long Island to Madang, Bogia, Wewak, Aitape, Vanimo, and the northern PNG Indonesian border, sea 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of West New Britain to Bougainville, seas 2 to 3 meters. And waters of East New Britain to New Ireland, seas 0.5 to 2 meters. And I look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas for tonight and tomorrow. And the Coral Sea sees rough to very rough with southeasterly winds at 25 to 34 knots, reaching 48 knots in open waters. Solomon Sea sees rough with southeasterly winds at 25 to 34 knots. Bismarck Sea sees rough with southeasterly winds at 25 to 34 knots. And the Pacific Ocean sees light to moderate with southeasterly winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield, with doing with Dulux.
Before we go, a small group of elementary school students in Jiwaka Province, led by their governor, Dr. William Tongap, celebrated Papua New Guinea's 42nd independence in style by planting more than 2,000 trees. Tongap said independence must be a time to pass on good deeds to the younger generation. The governor is embarking on planting 10,000 trees in next year's independence celebrations.
On Saturday, a small but important ceremony took place at the new Kurumul headquarters of Jiwaka Province. Local police and the engineering battalion at Carawil Defence Barracks wowed the elementary school students by doing flag raising and marching drills on the Independence Day. After the flag raising, Dr. William Tongap led the elementary students and they planted 2,300 kwila trees at the Kurumul HQ. The purpose of planting the trees is to create a little forest near the headquarters.
We celebrate independence or any other events with adults. You're getting expectations from people, brass bands, or billas, or music, or shows and stuff like this, and the expectations are always about money when we don't get our folks correct. But this on the 42nd independence celebrations, I decided to have a time with elementary students here, giving them some insight, explaining to them the meaning of independence, their parents, the importance of children.
Unlike other provinces in the country where many of the buildings were built in colonial times, Tongap said Jiwaka is a new province and his plans are that he wanted the locals to contribute in building the province. Work has already begun to build new streets and government buildings at Kurumul. A new hotel site was selected along the Wagi River for investors to build a standard hotel in the province. Governor Tongap said the provincial administration is ready to develop the town but they need financial support. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
And that's the way it is this Monday, beginning another working week. From the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.